So thank you very much for joining me this afternoon or evening, depending on where you are. Tonight is session 4 of these kind of March sessions we've been hosting every Wednesday for specifically the MPEd program. Now, if anyone else is here tonight, maybe they're comparing a few different programs or anything like that, do let me know, because I am the recruitment coordinator for all of our graduate programs. So pretty much anything except for the BEd I can talk about. So we can cover a few different topics, but tonight we're going to focus mainly on the MPEd program. So for those of you who do not know me yet, or maybe are new to this session, my name is Amber. I am the recruitment coordinator for the graduate programs here at Western in the Faculty of Education. I'm also a graduate, so I graduated in 2019 from the MPEd in Equity, Diversity, and Social Justice. That being said, happy to talk about all the different streams, but I try to maybe share my experience both as a student and also working for the faculty in recruitment. So again, tonight we'll focus on tuition financing. Next week is just a drop-in session, so I don't actually have anything structured for next week. I think this chat itself will maybe take about 15 minutes tonight, and then I'll be sticking around for another 15 minutes if anyone has questions. But next week especially too, I will just be here if anyone has questions they want to drop in. Something came up over the last few sessions. For anyone who has missed a previous session too, we're hoping to get those up on the website by the end of this month or into early April as well, or feel free to email me directly. My email address is there. You should be able to see that, edrecruit@uwo.ca. So if there was a session you missed or some questions you had about something, please reach out. It's what I'm here for. I'm here to help you determine if this is the right program for you and help you through your journey to hopefully becoming a graduate student here at the Faculty of Education. So what I do like to do as a kind of a kickoff is a poll to you. So I'm going to stop sharing here and open this up. Just one second here and open up the poll. So if you are by your computer or phone and can see that, I would be really curious to know what stream of the MPEd you are interested in. So take a second there. If you're interested in more than one, I'm not sure if it'll let you choose more than one. So feel free to just pick your preferred, or if anyone is here for the Master of Arts, I put that at the bottom, so that would be helpful to know when we talk about funding. So if anyone is, feel free to put that in. Okay, awesome. Good representation from Equity, Diversity, and Social Justice, which I love. ABA, a very, very popular stream. Perfect. Okay, there we go. We got everyone here. So yeah, good representation from a few different areas. That's great. Okay. So let's go back here. Now, I apologize, there's going to be a little bit of bouncing back and forth because I do want to actually take you to websites so you can see this for yourself. So just a little disclaimer, I'm not a financial aid officer. I don't set tuition. I'm just trying to give you the tools so that you can find the information you need to make an informed decision. So that's what we're going to be focusing in on. So I like to share this timeline. If you've been in the sessions before, you may have seen this in one of our webinars, but it relates to tuition because it's kind of how you pay. So that's why it's important to know as well. So this is, again, the structure of the MPEd program. In the first year, you're looking at taking a 12-week course in the fall. So that starts right after Labor Day, typically to the end of November, if you do the math. Then you have a winter course that starts early January, typically right after that winter Christmas break. Will take you to the end of March. And then you have an intersession course. So May and June is what we call intersession, or spring if you would like. And then summer, which would be July and August. So when you are paying, we'll talk a little bit about this, but you'll see in the fall and winter, you actually just pay for one course at a time. So in September, you pay for your fall course. In January, you pay for your winter course. However, for the summer, you're paying for 2 courses at once. So you actually pay for that intersession in summer together. And we'll touch on that a little bit later, but it helps to have the visual. For the second year, it follows a similar format where you will have the 12-week course in the fall, 12-week course in the winter. However, the summer does vary a little bit depending on the field of study. We say that it's at 8 courses. So, generally speaking, it's 8 courses. It's just that for some streams, that second year, the summer, it may be one 16-week course, so one long course, or 2 8-week courses, depending on the structure, but it does not change the tuition amount or anything. And again, you would still be paying for the 2 courses in that sense. So just something to kind of have a visual to help you with that. And it might make more sense when we go into it. Okay, so let's talk fees here. So the tuition cost is published on the registrar's website. And it hasn't been determined for next year. So keep in mind, I'm sharing with you current year numbers. There is always the possibility that the university can make adjustments. They have that flexibility, if you will, in policy, and it's not determined by the Faculty of Education. It's not our office necessarily, it's centralized by Western, but you would have this information available to you prior to payment. But I like to share it because then you have a base to plan for. So for domestic students, you are looking at approximately $2,800 per half course. Now, this is where it can get a little confusing. I know some students have emailed before about this. The registrar's website uses the term half course. For the Faculty of Education, a half course, that's a credit for us. So when I showed you that visual, a fall 12-week course, that's $2,800. So you're not paying that twice, that's one. The winter course, that's a whole course to us, even though it's called a half course online, so it's $2,800. So it can be a little confusing, but you're looking at $2,800 times 8, because it's 8 courses in the program. And again, this is based on last year's number. Just take this as a guideline. I'm not saying that that's exactly what you'll pay. It's just a bit of a way to plan. For international students, you're looking at $3,800 per half course. Now, I'm actually going to show you where to find this information, because it's great that I can tell you, but it's a lot better if you can kind of see this for yourself. So let me stop sharing for a quick second and put this into the chat. It will take you to the fee and refund schedule for Western. So I'm also going to share my screen, so if anyone needs to follow along, they can see it there. So you should be seeing a fees and refund schedule. So again, as I mentioned, the Board of Governors does reserve the right to amend these fees. So that's why I do not take this as written in stone. This is just a guideline. You'll want to click on the most recent, because that's a better way to base it off of, because these are the most recent tuition amounts. You do not want to open up the undergraduate. Obviously, we're looking at a graduate program, but if you click on, I would actually go down to winter 2021, because again, that's the most recent. If you click on winter 2021 graduate Canadian and or international, depending on what works for you in your circumstance, I will share them both here. You should be seeing this PDF chart. So maybe you've looked at this before, great. I just want to walk you through it a little bit here. If anyone in the group tonight is looking for our on-site Masters of Education program, you will see that in the second chart. Now, keep in mind that is the on-site, not the MPEd. That's the Master of Arts if someone was here for counseling psychology or applied linguistics or something. If you scroll all the way to the bottom of the PDF, so the bottom of the second page, you will see an asterisk, and then it says fees for Masters of Professional Education. So if anyone's having any troubles, if you could let me know in the chat, or if you're not seeing what I'm pointing out to you here, but you will see the Masters in Professional Education chart. Again, this is where it says per half course, but that is a course. Don't let that confuse you. It's just terminology. Non-residential means online program. So essentially every MPEd stream except for TESOL. So I don't know if we have anyone here tonight for TESOL, but TESOL is our Teaching English to Speakers of Other Languages program. That is an on-site program, so the tuition is a little bit different. But non-residential refers to our online program. So early childhood education, ABA, equity, etc. So you see, we said $2,800. We just kind of give a general, the tuition exact amount for winter 2021. So again, will not necessarily be your payment in September, but a good basis to plan for was $2,719. There are some small ancillary fees just to be aware of. So one is the student organization fees. So as a graduate student with the Faculty of Education, or just, sorry, with Western as a whole, you are part of the Society of Graduate Students, also known as SOGs. They plan different events throughout the year. They help with the orientation events, etc. They have some resources and everything that you kind of think of like undergrad study, your student council. These are just for grad students, so there's a small fee that goes to them. And then some other fees outside that, again, all collected by the main campus, not particular to our office. But you will see that there are some fees you are not charged because you're an online student. So there's no bus pass, the transit pass, that's only for our on-site programs. And health and dental plan, again, that is only for our on-site programs. So none of our online MPEd have that charged. But I just wanted to kind of give you a guideline on how to use this chart. And as soon as information is provided, updated tuition amounts, etc., it's all on that website. So that original link you went to, that would be posted there for you. And just for anyone who are in the group that may be international, I'm just going to show the international students. So again, just double check your PDF, make sure you're looking at the right one. The Master of Arts program is listed here on the second chart. And then the MPEd program, same thing, scroll down to the bottom. You will see the online costs for the online MPEds or on-site, the tuition amounts that are available there, okay? So that information is there for you. Bring back up the slideshow here. Okay, so I can also email this out if anyone wants to see this or have access to this, you can see the link, but hopefully you can find that. It's on the registrar's website. Because it's done by a different office, it can be a little bit, maybe not user-friendly, so I'm hoping that this helped you navigate that PDF there. When are updated fees posted? Great question. I wish I had an exact answer because again, it's done by a different office, so we don't have too much control over it. But I would think usually August, like usually around August for September, that would be posted. And it does have in the chart, sorry, I bounced out of there, but it does have the dates that it would be due. So actually, I am going to share that because I think that would be helpful. So let me just pull the website back up here. So as soon as it's available, it does tell you, so this is just showing the international one, but just so you can see in the PDF what the dates are. So the first installment date for this would be for the January course, for example, was due January 15th. Second installment was due February 12th. So if I go back and pull up one from the fall, just so we can get an idea. So this was from fall 2020, so the previous term. The first due date was September 8th. And then the second installment was October 13th. So you would certainly have this tuition information prior to the date, September 8th, likely a few weeks in advance. So that's why I would estimate around August timeframe that would be available to you. And on that note, I just want to point out a resource as well. If you do have questions about this, there is contact information here. So it's just reg-fees@uwo.ca, or the phone number is available there. This would be to contact the financial department in the registrar's office. So if you wanted to find out more of an exact date, maybe you have funding coming in or you have to submit something to your employer, so you're looking to find out those dates, I would say contact the registrar's office to get some more concrete information. So we talked a little bit about this, which was the payment schedule. So as I mentioned, there are 3 payment periods per year. September, when you pay for one course, January for one course, and then May is when you're looking at paying for the 2 courses. You're welcome. So it will be a little bit of a heavier payment in May, just something to be aware of because you're paying for the 2 at once. So just gives you time to plan ahead. I've also provided a link there for the registrar's website on payment methods. So it does differ a little bit if you are a Canadian student or international. If you're a Canadian student, I would say most of our students tend to do payment directly through internet banking. So you can add Western University like as a payment, bill payment and pay right through internet banking. If you're an international student, you may be looking at wire payments, etc. So all of that is done through the registrar's office, and there is a link there to access more information. Okay, and the last thing we'll talk a little bit about is funding opportunities. Now, I do want to be kind of transparent, honest, if you will, with the MPEd program, because it is a fully online program designed to allow you to work full-time while you're completing the program. There is not the same level of funding as you may see for like a Master of Arts program or a PhD program. Now, that being said, we still want to give you some advice of where to go, what to seek out, but just be aware if you're thinking like that, if you are looking for a program with a funding package or maybe doing some research, paid positions, etc., you would be looking at our Master of Arts program, not the MPEd program. The MPEd program is really designed to let you keep working towards your career, keep earning a salary, and that's what's going to help fund your education. Now, that being said, there are scholarships out there. So I do want to share the first one, Scholarships Canada. So I am going to pull this up and I'm going to put it in the chat as well, because I think it's a great resource. It's actually kind of an organization that if we have a new scholarship we want to share, anything like that, we will go to Scholarships Canada. So I put that in the chat so you can follow along if you'd like. But what you do, and maybe someone here is familiar with it from undergrad or anything, but you kind of get matched with a scholarship or available scholarships. So you can go in, it's completely free, and you can create a profile and say, I'm interested in graduate education, specifically in the field of education, online, on-site, in Canada, in Ontario. You choose your filters. and it will show you what scholarships you are matched to. So there's some are more featured to undergraduate study, high school students, obviously, but some are also geared specifically to graduate students. So many universities, many organizations, etc., come together and support this website here. So I would recommend going to Scholarships Canada. It's a great resource to just get started. And then, hey, maybe you'll read something and that'll take you to the industry website. You'll see something posted there. But that's where we try to encourage our students to go to for scholarship information. I've provided some other links here too. So if you wanted to take a screenshot, or again, you can get access to this afterwards, certainly. But the second one is more for international students. The third, studentawards.com, again, these centralized systems where you can take a look. The other thing I would suggest, I wasn't sure if we'd have anyone here tonight for TESOL. I'm not sure if we do, but it's an example of looking up industry-specific scholarships. So the TOEFL organization puts out grants and scholarships specifically for students that are taking a program related to English education, English learning for international students. So that's just an example for TESOL, but similar to your field, if you could do some industry-based research into scholarships, there is a lot out there. So I know for many of our scholarships, they don't always go claimed every year. So we really do encourage you to kind of do your research and see what you can find. Another great way to look for support is through your employer. So if you work for a school board, are there any grants, scholarships, funding there? If you work for a higher education institute, sometimes it's worked into your employment agreement. So we do encourage you to contact your HR department if you are doing this while working full-time and see what's available for you, because a lot of our students come in with a mix of, they're funding themselves, but they also have some sort of employment funding or anything like that, or maybe it's in the form of an educational leave. They give you some extra time off, whatever that may be, but it's worth asking. Third, a question we get a lot is about OSAP. So if anyone here is a resident in Ontario and a Canadian citizen or permanent resident, you are eligible for OSAP with this program. So it is considered full-time in the eyes of OSAP. So you are, as I said, eligible. We can pull this up here too. I think you will need me to share. I told you I would be bouncing around a lot here. Sorry about that. Share this here. Perfect. Okay, so Western itself has a part of the website that's, let me throw this in the chat so you don't have to navigate this yourself, that's dedicated to OSAP for Western students. So there's some information there about eligibility. As I mentioned, I've already told you this program is OSAP eligible, so it's considered full-time. You don't have to worry about in that sense, but you would have to do the application process. So you kind of navigate that on your own with the help of any of our financial coordinators at Western if you would need that. In regards to the application process, typically takes about 6 to 8 weeks. Now, for anyone that may be new to OSAP, if you didn't use this in your undergrad or still kind of thinking, oh, is this worth it or not? Keep in mind, when you apply, you're considered for both a student loan and grants. So a portion of the dollar amount they come up with, they would notify you whether that was in a loan that you do pay back, or if there was any that was eligible for a grant, so that you would just kind of free money, if you will. So it's always always encouraged by us to go ahead and take a look at that, see if that's something that is relevant for you, because if you do get any that's in grant funding, it's super helpful because that is not money you have to pay back necessarily. So take a look at that, 6 to 8 weeks. So they do recommend that you apply by June 30th. So June 30th to make that September payment. If you already knew that you were attending the MPEd, obviously our deadline is June 30th, but you can certainly hear before then. So if you do apply earlier, if someone else, maybe you've already applied or maybe have your offer, it is something you'd want to get the ball rolling on. I believe the application's available in May. Yeah, it says generally available in May, so you could keep an eye out for that. But you'd want to get that in as soon as possible just to make sure you're good to go for the September payment. And lots of information available on this website here about OSAP. And again, I will direct you here to some contact information. So at Western, we do have financial aid coordinators. That is not what I am. I'm just a recruitment officer, so I'm just kind of giving you the tools. But those financial aid coordinators could set up a telephone appointment with you, help you via email, whatever the case may be. So if this is something that I know financing, tuition can sometimes be a barrier to entry for students considering graduate studies, I encourage you to reach out and get some support, get some feedback, because there may be resources available to you that you weren't necessarily aware of that could help you with your decision making. Okay, and I'm going to pull this back up here. So we talked a little bit about OSAP. And the last thing I will mention is the lifelong learning plan. So if anyone here, Canadian citizen, if you have an RRSP, this program is eligible for you to access some of those funds toward tuition. So you can read more about that on the Canadian Revenue Agency or CRA website, but that is another thing that some of our students have access to help them fund their degree. Okay, and that is kind of officially what I have for you. So as I mentioned, there's no secrets or special formula or anything with that when it comes to financing the grad degree, but I hope that I could give you some tools that may help you even just navigate that information, because sometimes transparency helps. So that's what I will say with Western, is that we try to give you all the information in regards to financing, funding, the cost of tuition. So you have that available. There's no surprises. You can find out exact timelines of when that's released, as I mentioned, by contacting the registrar's office, but typically they do want to give you sufficient time. So you'll know when that's available to you prior to having to make those payments. And you do know now what time of year you'd be looking at. So September, January, and May for the spring, summer. Okay, oh, great. I'm glad this was helpful. I really appreciate that. So I've provided my email address there, edrecruit@uwo.ca. That's staffed by myself and a colleague. So if you have any questions, I'm here to help. I've also provided the graduate office website, email address if you need anything from there, but I would say try me first. And if I can't help you, I'll direct you to the right person. And I'm going to stop sharing this here. Okay. Yes, great question. Thank you. So good point. You're on the Student Center, you will also get fee information posted there. So it wouldn't be available yet, like in an offer letter or anything, because as you know, that's not on the website. As soon as it's on the website, that's when you'll have that available to you and in the Student Center, but it does get posted to your Student Center. So you're right. If you are offered admission, at the time when it gets available, I think it's in the bottom left. It says like detailed statement of account, if I can remember that correctly, something along that. It might be showing like a 0 or not available or something right now. But as soon as your payment is issued, or your cost is issued, sorry, it will show there, and it will show the deadline of when you need to pay that. So and then once you go and you make the payment on your internet banking or however you choose to do that, it will change that dollar amount. So that's kind of how you track it. So great question. It usually will coincide. So once it gets up on the website, it will also get posted to your Student Center. You'll have that available to you. I wish I could tell you like how early it comes. I really can't remember. Like I know for myself personally as a student, I definitely had like at least a few weeks before. Wasn't like it was posted one day, do the next or anything like that. So it does appear on your Student Center for sure, or it will be on the registrar's website. And yeah, I would happy to share the slides afterwards. Of course, I can send that out via email. And there I just also popped in the email address for the registrar's office in case there was any follow-up questions. Okay. I'm really glad they've been helpful. Yeah, we tried this new this year just to kind of with the way everything's going with the pandemic. We can't have people come in for campus tours or anything like that. So I'm really glad these sessions have been helpful. And yeah, when does it switch from me? So I am helping kind of prospective students, people get accepted into the program, etc. Once you're accepted into the program, you will hear from me a little bit less and hear from what is called your graduate affairs assistant. So in your offer letter on your Student Center, it likely gave a contact for your graduate affairs assistant. So each stream of the MPEd will kind of have someone different that helps you, and they will give you information about enrollment and everything in the summer. So it's likely you won't hear from them for a little bit. So if you have any questions, please come to me. I can find those answers for you. But usually there's an orientation in August, so the mid to end of August. And for the MPEd program, you're enrolled in your courses automatically, so you don't have to worry about yourself going and doing that process, because there's only just one credit, like one course at a time. So they do that manually for you, but they will reach out to you over the summer and again have that big orientation information session for you in August. So if anything comes up between now and then, reach out to me and I'll find out that answer for you. Otherwise, don't be alarmed if you accept an offer tomorrow and don't hear for a few months. That's completely normal. Perfect. Okay. Yeah, take care. Thank you so much for jumping in. If anyone has any other questions, feel free to type them in the chat. If you have to head out, thanks for sticking around. And as I mentioned, I'll be here next week, really just as a drop-in session to kind of cover any questions people have. If you don't have questions, don't worry. You can also book a one-on-one appointment online. So if you did want to talk about something more specific to your situation or your application, please go ahead and book an appointment. I'd be happy to chat.